With over 5 months left before the country holds its local government elections, disgruntled citizens are continuing to use protests as a means to demand essential services for their communities. In the past few weeks, violent protests have flared up in different provinces, leading to damages on municipal resources, shops being looted, vehicles being damaged. As political leaders embark on their election campaign trails around the country, will they ever be ready to meet their obligations to actually deliver adequate essential services? To answer this question, we are joined by Professor Modimowabarwa Kanyane, who is the Research Director in the Developmental, Capable and Ethical State Program at the Human Science Research Council. Prof, good to have you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you very much to invite me, and also to all the listeners and viewers.
Absolute pleasure. So, Prof, let me begin with that exact question. Will municipalities ever be ready to meet their obligation to deliver adequate essential services like water, electricity, and safety communities around the country?
Let me put it this way, that it presents to us with problems, because we cannot go around and say that we are still establishing municipalities, putting them on their feet. So the current municipal, capacity proved to us that it's going to be a long journey to get where the municipality meet the expectations of the society, because these are not rocket science of identifying concerns. It's just basic delivery of service. And that gives us that problem, because we cannot go around keep on saying that we are putting together capacity. At this stage of close to 30 years, unfortunately, it's going to be a long journey.
Yeah, it certainly is. But, when you look at the expectations of a community, at the end of the day, these are the basic human rights that are held in our Constitution: safety, education, water, lights. I mean, these are things that by now we should be getting, and we're just not getting that, and it seems that the government is failing the people. Why? What is the reason behind this?
Yes, we have some pointers of some of these reasons, and some of them you have already picked them up, and then the issues of corruption, the issues of inequalities, the issues of unemployment, and many you can name. And then the studies we do at the Human Sciences Research Council, especially in our division of Capable State, we are bringing questions close to the community themselves to answer what is the problem, what is in the government. We are just wrapping up a study that points to us that right in the municipalities, there are critical skills deficit, which prove to us that we are not getting it right there, and that also presents with problems. But the Auditor General has also confirmed year in and year out about the irregular expenditures that are skyrocketing in various municipalities, as well as even corruption that is there presented before the Zondo Commission. So these are issues that we are grappling with, and they present us with a frustration received from the members of the community.
With obviously elections around the corner, we suddenly see politicians doing the rounds and going into communities. And, there is, of course, this poor service delivery we talk to in areas like Gqeberha, Lenasia South, Mangaung. We've been talking about Makanda. I mean, there's so many. The list goes on and on and on. It seems that voters are now accustomed to government being more responsive to their plight during the election circle, that they may see things getting done as the vote is about to be made, and then they disappear. Is that a trend you've been seeing?
Yes, we have the surveys that we conduct at the HSRC, the South African attitudinal social surveys. We do modules every year, and we have also picked that trend of protests that are coming through the elections. And one 2 points of the surveys is voter participation surveys that we do, and just close to the election. And then after the election, we do the election satisfaction surveys. When you pulled that from 2013 and to where we are, you can able to see that the communities are believing that street protests are register more visibility and presence than even casting a vote. And therefore, that tells you that the street protests become an ammunition to raise an alarm of this kind of dissatisfaction.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we look at videos that circulate of these service delivery protests. We also look at politicians going and visiting areas, and I get back to the conversation of elections and going out there. And I mean, we saw recently a video doing the rounds of, I think it was among others, the Gauteng MEC for community safety, Faith Mazibuko, going out into a community, eating chicken feet and saying that this is for the sake of the vote. We're supporting the local economy. And, you know, you see a little child standing there watching on, and the giggling and laughing. And, you know, this almost, it almost slaps in the community's face that, you know, this suddenly, we count when you need us, but when we need you, you're not there to be found.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful narration that, you know, present to, you know, overall macro perspective of the state of the nation, the country where we are, because there is no sense of agency, but also a sense of sensitivity around people who are poverty-stricken, people who are staying in shacks. Even today, we do not expect that at this moment, people will still be vulnerable to these conditions. And just to put it, that politicians, even coming to these local government elections, they need to start rethinking their, you know, canvassing strategies, because they are going to meet reaction, because these campaigns that are coming just to buy votes is not going to be a currency easy to influence the community, because at the moment, the communities are empowered and they know what they want. You can't beat around the bush on these matters.
But Professor, then we have by-elections, and you know we see all of this unfolding in front of us, and we see the anger or hear about the anger that is in communities. Then we have these by-elections, and then we see that the communities vote for the same people to be in power. Why is this the case? What goes through the mind of the voting population when one day they're burning down buildings because they're not getting service, and then the next day they're in an election booth voting for the exact same people? What happens here?
To me, is what I refer to as a cognitive dissonance. I don't know how to put it in a way.
No, that's the perfect way to put it, I think. Yeah.
Yes, because people are trapped in a quagmire. They are trapped in a situation where if they can't vote, it's the same party, because it's more of a religious, traditional kind of inheritance in a particular party. So that kind of ritual, you know, it's difficult to break it when you are going to election.
Yeah.
So it's a give and take. Let me just put it this way.
There's so much to ask you. There really is, because let me try and squeeze two other issues in. You know, as much as we see communities coming out and protesting and wanting these services, there's also the issue of non-payment. And we see, I mean, for instance, we look at something like Eskom and other service providers where they see that communities are not paying for the services that they deliver. You know, let's talk to the responsibilities of the communities in all of this.
Yes, when you come to the payment of services, you can maybe shift it back to the communities. But if you that, for example, with load shedding, which is just not necessarily because people are not paying. I mean, just the taxpayers, we have seen the taxpayers' money, even if there's that culture of payment, I don't still think that we'll get the service that we need, as I've found on the challenges of the municipalities. But we still need to inculcate that culture of payment. But what we pay is what we need to get. If we don't get what we pay for, it presented that type of a challenge, and not casting some shift on these matters that the community should not pay for the service. They should pay. It's an obligation, but it's not. It's a reciprocal obligation. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
What we pay, we need to get at the level of minimum expectation, which is not yet satisfying.
Prof, yes or no answer? Are things getting better or worse when we see going up to the local government elections when it comes to service protests over the years? Yes or no, better or worse? You choose the answer.
I would say we're going to worse scenario.
All right, Prof, we've got to leave it there. Got to say goodbye to our viewers. What a pleasure speaking to you. Professor Kanyane is a research director in the Developmental, Capable and Ethical State Program of Human Science Research Council.